data structure. Look at this stack, a stack of pancakes. How delicious does this stack look? So what is a stack? Well, it is a data structure, which means it's a way of storing data in a computer. And to get your head around it, imagine a stack of books. We can push a book onto the top of the stack. And the stack here will be our table where we're putting our books. And the first thing we'll do is let's push aardvarks onto the top of the stack. There it is. And we could push another book on top. We could push bees. And you'll notice that when I push it, it goes on to the top of the stack. I could push again. I could push a book about capybaras. And now there are 3 things in my stack. To read from the stack, we wouldn't pull a book out of the middle, would we? We'd pull one off the top. So to read, we can pop a book off the top of the stack. I'll pop this book about capybaras. So I'll do a pop operation. There you go. And that'll store that in a variable called current. That's the one I'm looking at right now. And I'll keep a list of the ones that I've processed just so you can see the order in which I'm doing them. I'll do another pop operation. And if I were to pop now, I would pop bees. So let's have a look at bees. Good. And we'll do another pop operation, which is aardvarks. There we go. And now I've gone through all of them. What do you notice about the order that I looked at the books? You may notice that they're in reverse order. The very last book that went on the stack, which was capybaras, was the very first one to come out when I popped. So that's how a stack works. It will reverse the order. Let's define a stack. So we'll define a stack as a list of items that follows the last in, first out principle. The very last thing that goes on the stack is the very first thing that you'll pop off the stack, that you'll read. There are 2 main operations, being that you can push an item onto the top of the stack and you can pop an item off the top of the stack to read it. So you can't pop an item out of the middle of the stack, usually. You can't look at an item at the middle of the stack. You will only look at the very top. That gives rise to 2 other operations that are not so important. One is that you might be able to peek at the top to see what it is without removing it. And often you'll have an isEmpty operation as well that will tell you if the stack is empty or if it's got something in it. Let's do a more complicated example here with some pushing and popping that's not in order. You can see here, rather than doing a lot of push and then a lot of pop, I do some pushes, and then a couple pops, some more pushes, and then pop the rest. As an interesting question, you might think about having a look at how many push operations are here and pop operations. Do you think that the stack will be empty at the end, or do you think there'll be something left in there? Interesting. Well, let's try it. First, we will push aardvarks onto the stack. And then we'll push bees onto the stack. And then we'll push capybaras onto the stack, just like last time. But maybe now I'll just pop twice. I'll pop capybaras, and then I'll pop the next item, which is bees. Okay. What happens if now, rather than popping this one, I push dingoes onto the stack? There we go. And I'll push elephants onto the stack. And if I were to pop now, just as before, the last item that went in is the very first item that we'll take out. So let's pop, and then elephants will come off, and we'll look at that. Maybe do something with it. And then we'll pop again, and it'll be dingoes. And then we'll pop again, and we'll get aardvarks. What do you think would happen if we tried to pop now? Well, if we tried to pop again, we'd get an error. There's nothing left on the stack. And also, what do you notice about the order here? The order doesn't match the order that they went in because they get reversed. Here, I popped twice. I popped bees and capybaras, so they ended up in the reverse order. And then I popped the dingoes and elephants off, so they ended up in the reverse order. And then aardvarks was the one that was at the bottom of the stack the whole time. You might be thinking what applications there are. There are lots. Let's look at just one application, which is the back and forward button in your browser. The back button in your browser is a stack. That's how it's stored. So when you visit a website, a web page, a URL, it gets pushed onto the top of the stack. And when you click on back, it will pop the most recent URL from the stack, and then you'll visit it. Let's have a look at how that works. So first let's visit example.com. So when you visit it and then click a link to somewhere else, like mysteryarea.com, when you click that link, the current page will get pushed onto the stack, and now mysteryarea.com is in the address bar. And if I click another link, like to google.com, this current address will get pushed onto the stack, and google.com is my current address. Now if we were to hit the back button, that's the same as doing a pop. I'll pop the top thing off the stack, and that goes in my address bar. If I visit unshuffler.com now, then I'll push my current web page, my current URL onto the stack. That's my current address now. And if I hit the back button, I will pop mysteryarea.com. Maybe I hit the back button again and then pop example.com. And why is the back button disabled now? Well, because the stack is empty. And what do you think would happen if I tried to pop from the stack now? I would get an error. I hope this has been helpful for you, and let me know if you've got any questions. Bye everyone.